So we're going to be reviewing reasoning. We're reviewing reasoning. We have inductive and deductive. Now for inductive, we cover that it was basically patterns. We're going to see repetition. And then deductive, we said that is basically what lawyers use. Deductive, they try to give you facts. And based on the facts that they present, you're going to come out with a conclusion. So let's review real quick. Find the next term in each sequence. There must be repetition here. So that's going to be inductive. So let's see. Probably I'm adding the same stuff. So looking at number 11, question number 11, from 34 to become 43, I must add 9. So it seems like that I'm going to add 9. In order for 43 to become 52, let me add 9. For 52 to become 61, let me add 9. And the same thing for 61 to become 70. So it seems like I'm going to be adding 9 each time. So in order for me to find out the next numbered, I'm just going to add 9 to 70. My result should be 79. Right, once again, inductive, I'm trying to look for repetition. I'm trying to look for patterns. Let's take a look at number 12. In order for negative 26 to become negative 46, I must subtract 20. In order for negative 46 to become negative 66, I'm going to subtract 20. It works for the next case and the next case. So I'm going to say the pattern seems to be that I subtract 20. So my next numbered, I'm going to go negative 106 minus 20. I'm going to get negative 126. Once again, for inductive, we're trying to look for patterns, repetitions. Let's take a look at question number 13. In order for negative 11 to become 89, in addition, I must add 100. For 89 to become 189, I must add 100 again. I add 100 again, and I add 100 again. So it seems like each time I'm adding 100. So in order for me to find the next number, let me go 389 plus 100, and I'm going to get 489. Lastly, let's take a look at number 14. Well, not lastly, but numerically, let's take a look at number 14. In order for 8 to become 10, I'm going to add 2. In order for 10 to become 13, I'm going to add 3. And then for 13 to become 17, let me add 4. And for 17 to become 22, I must add 5. So it seems like each time I'm adding one more from the previous time, right? I added 2, then I added 3, I added 4, I added 5. So I'm going to say the next number, let me add 6. So 22 plus 6, I'm going to get 28. Sometimes a repetition could be a multiply, or I'm dividing. Right? It could be also multiplication or division. In this case, we happen to get all additions, but sometimes the pattern could be multiplication. So that was inductive. And I also used, when I covered last lecture, I even covered some wording. It could be in words. I gave it to you in numbers, but it could be in words as well. Now for deductive, we're going to come up with a conclusion. Right? We're going to get a couple statements. And based on those statements, I'm going to come up with a conclusion. The first statement on number 15 says, if you have money, then you go to the movies. Statement B says, Mark has money. Do notice, though, that Mark has money and if you have money is very, very similar. So if you have money, in this case, Mark has money, then you go to the movies. But now we know who you is, right? Like in this case, you is, I'm representing you for Mark. So if you have money, then you go to the movies. Mark has money. So one thing that we can conclude is we're not going to say Mark go to the movies. And I'm not going to say then Mark go to the movies, right? Mark go to the movies. You kind of have to fix it in English how it goes. So I'm just going to say Mark because now instead of you, I have to use the name Mark because I know Mark has money. So Mark goes to the movies. It is a sentence, right? I'm using words. Make sure you follow your English rules. The first letter must be capitalized, and you end with the period. Don't forget the period at the end. So Mark goes to the movies. Try to keep it the same wording that I have here. Notice how basically the sentence I was writing was, it says you go to the movies. But once again, we know Mark is going to be representing you. So you go to the movies. I just wrote Mark goes to the movies. Notice I kept it very, very similar. Keep it to the wording on the question. Don't come out and say, well, since Mark has money, he will be going to the movies. Or Mark will be going to the movies. Like those are, I know that means the same thing on Mark goes to the movies, but keep it to the same wording that I have on the questions. All right, let's take a look at number 16. A student gets an A in geometry if he or she does his or her homework. Elizabeth does her homework or does her work. So we can see that Elizabeth does her work. He or she does his or her work. Those are very similar. So I'm just going to say I have to rewrite that a student gets an A in geometry. But we know which student we're talking about. Right? In this case, we're talking about Elizabeth. So instead of saying a student, I'm going to say Elizabeth. Keep it to the same wording. So do not call her Liz. It's Elizabeth gets an A in geometry. Keep it to the same wording that I have there. Okay. Now we're also going to talk about, we're going to include what we called the logical chain. Now, a logical chain, I'm going to have statements. In this case, I'm going to give you guys 3 statements, but it could be more than 3. I'm going to give you guys statements, and you must tell me which one happened first. We're going to put them in order. The way I know how they go in order is because the way a sentence ends, the way a statement ends, is how the one that comes after starts. So the way one statement ends is how the next one starts. Okay, so let's take a look. Number 17. If I fail, then I won't go to college. For statement B, if I don't do my homework, then I will fail. Notice how here it ends. Statement B ends with I will fail. But question number 17A says if I fail. So the way B ended is how A started. So that's how I know B comes before A. Another thing we're going to see numbered, let's see, statement C. If I don't go to college, then I will have a hard life. Now here I have I don't go to college. That's how C starts. But that is how A ends. So because the ending of A is the beginning of C, I know A comes before C. So I knew that B comes before A and A comes before C. So the order that I'm going to put them in, first B happens, then A happens, and then C. Remember, the way one statement ends is how the next one starts. I'm just going to ask you for your homework to put the letters of the statements. It could be more than 3. I could give you more than 3 statements. But I'm just going to put them in there. Notice how I'm using the letters, the A, B, C, lowercase. I'm putting a comma. And don't forget the space after the comma as well. All right, let's take a look at number 18. If we go to the zoo, then we feed animals. If Octavio wants to hang out, then he picks me up. If Octavio picks me up, then we go to the zoo. Okay, so Octavio picking up. So if Octavio picks me up, I see that relationship there. And I see we go to the zoo. So, okay, so let me compare these. B, the way B ends is how C starts. So I know B comes right before C. As a matter of fact, let me even write that thing down. B comes before C. The way C ends, it's how A starts. So C comes before A. So that's how we do a logical chain.